Everybody make some noise for Wicked Fade. That wasn't loud enough, low key.
Sometimes you make me wait, make it like a plan. Wish that you could help me understand why I don't know.
What if I told you emo and rap go together? It is a fact and you cannot change my mind. 20 years ago, you would have said something along the lines of, dude, what are you talking about? Is that even a genre? If I asked you that today, that may elicit a response along the lines of, oh, absolutely, Lil Peep and Juice WRLD are some of my favorite artists right now. Conversely, if I asked that same question to someone in opposition of the genre, you could expect an answer to read like this. No, I hate emo rap. Lil Xan is the worst artist to come out in the last 10 years. I find this very interesting. A genre that was seemingly non-existent even 10 years ago has not only grown immensely within the past few years, but has become more or less mainstream. You'd be hard-pressed to find an avid or even casual music consumer that hasn't at least heard the name Lil Peep or Lil Xan. Even someone like my sister that couldn't care less about 1 rap or 2 emo knows the chorus to Juice WRLD's radio hit, Lucid Dreams. Let's explore the deep dark world of what has been coined emo rap and answer the quintessential question, do emo and rap go together? Which is inherently subjective, of course, and I hope by the end of this video, you are able to form your own opinion on the combination of these two musical styles. But if emo and rap are intrinsically meant for one another, what does that mean for this genre of music going forward? How did two vastly different genres of music come to find themselves being blended and swirled around with one another? I think the devil is in the details with this question. The juxtaposition of rap and emo may seem palpable at first, and it's incredibly easy to listen to a dashboard confessional song followed by a Kendrick Lamar track and say, oh yes, of course, these are very different, come on. But are they really? I believe the combination of rap and emo has been something that we've been building up to for quite some time now, as rap has been climbing the ranks to compete with rock and roll to claim the title as the most popular genre of music, which came to fruition in 2017 and was reinforced in 2018 with chart-topping albums such as Drake's Scorpion and Post Malone's Beer Bongs and Bentleys. As rap was on the rise, so was something else. The depression rate. And I realize that this will more than likely be perceived as a hot take, but I believe this not only directly contributed to the mixture of emo and rap, but the emo revival as well. While the contention that the rising depression rate has influenced music may sound outlandish to some, let's take a look at some data in an attempt to strengthen my case. And while I recognize that there is no way to conclusively prove this and that the burden of proof is on me since I made the initial claim, I still believe this data is worth a look. From 2013 to 2016, the depression diagnosis rate for children 12 to 17 is up 63%, and the depression diagnosis for adults 18 to 34 is up a whopping 47%. We could draw just about any conclusion we want to from this data to paint the picture we desire, but since my initial claim was rather out there, I'll attempt to draw a rather conservative conclusion from this graph and just say, people are kinda getting sadder. And as rap continues to dominate the charts and earn the label most popular genre of music of all time, according to the charts anyway, so does the prevalence of anxiety and depression in society. Nate, we get it. Rap is popular. The depression rates are rising. Who cares, right? What am I even getting at? Well, music is a form of art, and art is a form of expression. As rap becomes increasingly popular in years to come, it is safe to say that the depression rate will continue to rise, as it shows no signs of plateauing or declining anytime soon. I believe this will not only foster the growth of emo rap, but expand the perceived interest in highly emotional music in general. But is this a good thing for the genre? What does that mean for the future of this genre? We'll dive into that momentarily. We are now left with a question that we must ask ourselves. Do emo and rap go together? 2 years ago, it would have been a hard no from me, but upon really giving this genre and these artists a chance, as well as doing research for this video, I have found, as previously mentioned, that they are not that different, making my answer an astounding yes. Both genres are highly expressive in nature, and I do agree that music in and of itself is expressive. However, you don't encounter many genres with 1, that much passion put into their craft, and 2, such fervent, dedicated fan bases. I believe that emo and rap are essentially the same idea existing in parallel planes of the music universe with a very different approach to creating sound. It is also important to note the difference in subject subject matter, but at their core, they're both highly expressive forms of music where passion isn't just displayed, it's so intense at times that it feels tangible, like you could reach out and grasp it. Let's take a look at two very different tracks, one emo song and one rap song to further illustrate my point. First, we have a snippet from emo anthem Sick Transit Gloria by Brand New. You don't recover from a night like this, a victim still lying in bed completely motionless. A hand moves in the dark to a zipper, hear a boy bracing tight against the sheets barely whisper, "This is so messed up." Next, we have the ever-popular Mad City from rap's finest, Kendrick Lamar. Brace yourself, I'll take you on a trip down memory lane. This is not a rap on how I'm slinging crack or move cocaine. This is cul-de-sac and plenty cognac and major pain, not the drill sergeant but the stress that weighing on your brain. Both sets of lyrics address emotional subject matter, but it is clear that the focal point of these two artists is vastly different. Jesse Lacey of Brand New sings about the lasting trauma caused from a sexual encounter he wasn't quite ready for, while Kendrick spits verses about growing up in the hood and how difficult that can be for a good kid that is simply trying to do good things, but is expected to participate in drug dealing, gang violence, and illicit activities. With the genre being so young, with very few extremely prominent figures, that leaves a lot of room for questions like, what artist is up next? How will the sound evolve? But I think these questions stem from an even larger unknown being, where is the genre going? Which could also be stated as, what is the fate of this genre? Which is the question I will attempt to shed some light on and hopefully help you develop an informed opinion as well. In order to form a hypothesis on where emo rap is headed, it's important to understand how we got here in the first place. The term emo hip-hop was originally coined by Slug of Atmosphere in 1997, to go way, way back. However, Atmosphere's emo hip-hop sound comes nowhere close to describing what we know today as emo hip-hop. It is virtually unanimous that Kid Cudi is the paterfamilias of what we know as emo rap today, and is cited as one of the biggest influences on the genre with his album Man on the Moon, The End of the Day, where he tackles subjects such as depression, loneliness, and anxiety, which can be found on tracks like Day and Night, Cudi's 3-time platinum hit. The lonely stoner seems to free his mind at night, he's all alone, some things will never change. And even before Cudi would release his impactful debut album, he worked with artists held at very high esteem such as Kanye West, and co-wrote on many tracks on 808s and Heartbreaks, an album revered as significant in the formative years of the genre. In 2012, a style of emo rap that would ultimately shape the genre as we know it today was unveiled by two now very well-known established artists. The first of which being Young Lean, and an artist that went under the pseudonym Bones, previously known as That Kid. And although it seems that Young Lean, as of the last few years, is not only no longer synonymous with this scene, it seems like he's almost been shunned away for his experimentation within the genre, which is something to note. Nonetheless, his influence in what helped shape the sound we know today is remarkable and must be noted. Elmo Kennedy O'Connor, or Bones as most people know him, is famous for his concoction of rap beats blended with styles of music like emo, metal, and indie rock to create a truly inventive sound. This garnered him quite the fan base on the internet, and his influence in the underground hip-hop scene has led him to being labeled as the underground rap king. It wouldn't exactly be a stretch to say that Bones pioneered what we know today as SoundCloud rap, a movement that has a very punk rock vibe to it, by and large sticking to SoundCloud and occasionally YouTube as their means of audio distribution, and embracing the DIY aspect of punk in terms of recording their own music, selling merch themselves, and basically handling everything on their own. It's like they wanted it to be their own little thing. This movement began to take form in 2014 and 2015, encompassing the likes of artists such as Lil Peep, Ghostmane, Lil Uzi Vert, and Lil Tracy, to name a few. It wasn't until Lil Uzi Vert's XO Tour Life became a sleeper hit in the first half of 2017 and charted at number 7 on the Billboard Top 100 that this style of music was thrust into the mainstream. This song was categorized as emo rap due to the nature of its lyrics, speaking on subjects such as suicide and emotional breakdowns. This was really the first time that this music had seen any type of commercial success and made others aware of what was brewing in the underground. Followed by the success of XO Tour Life, Lil Uzi's 6-time platinum hit, XXXTentacion released his debut album 17 in August of 2017, charting on the Billboard Top 200 with single Jocelyn Flores addressing the suicide of a friend, which would shortly be followed up with the success of Love is Rage 2, Lil Uzi's debut studio album, also earning him a spot on the charts. During this time, the now globally recognized Lil Peep was growing himself quite the fan base as well, nearly all the way through 2017 before he tragically passed away from a fentanyl overdose in November of that year. Shortly following his death, his debut album, Come Over When You're Sober Part 1, came out and charted on the Billboard 200 charts at 168 and peaked at number 38. In June 2018, XXXTentacion was shot and killed by two gunmen in a black SUV as he was leaving a motorcycle dealership in Deer Beach, Florida. Following X's death, his song Sad charted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The death of both X and Peep brought emo rap to the forefront once again due to their notoriety within the scene. This brought along a very interesting 2018 with artists like Lil Xan, Trippie Redd, and Juice WRLD rising up the ranks at an exponentially fast rate, earning themselves immense fan bases and a high level of success on a commercial level. This opened the door for artists in the underground to gain popularity and begin to make a name for themselves in the scene. Joe Mulheron, the man behind a project called Nothing Nowhere, was signed to Fueled by Ramen in early 2018 and released his debut album through FBR in April of that same year. Additionally, JPEG Mafia began to take shape and became an underground hero, amassing himself hundreds of thousands of listeners on Spotify and a highly engaged fan base. It is clear that there's not only an interest for emo rap on a commercial and underground level, but a growing interest. However, I see some issues that could end up killing off the genre in a matter of years if we don't start seriously considering some of these issues right now. There are only a handful of artists that exist on the mainstream spectrum, and the ones that do exist are often brought up with one another in casual conversation. Lil Xan, Lil Peep, Lil Uzi Vert, Trippie Redd, Juice WRLD, and X. And while I enjoy at least half of those artists mentioned, I can't help but notice a consistent, uniform sound between them. Mid-tempo, pounding bass, a morose escapade, if you will. While one could say, Nate, that's not a big deal, I would have to counter with, yes it is. An article by Trey Alston, writer for Revolt TV, compares the emo rap scene with the female rap scene. While he makes it very clear that they are not the same thing, he raises some cogent points and draws interesting parallels between the two. Alston addresses the fact that there are many female rappers other than just Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, but the space is so narrow, citing radio or media coverage as possible culprits for an agenda that seems to only promote one artist at a time, something that is very prevalent in the emo rap scene. In both spaces, due to how hard it is to break into the genre, one must create buzz around their name, either by generating conversation that includes the hottest artists, usually through conflict, or by emulating their sound in hopes of being recognized by that artist or even called out. The end result for both female and emo rap is the same. The arena becomes a claustrophobic space that doesn't necessarily promote growth or reward it. Upcoming artists will only be emulating what they see as working as opposed to being themselves, which would ultimately be on us for growing a space in which you are punished or excommunicated from the scene for branching out or trying to expand your sound in bold new directions. The career paths of Lil Uzi and Young Lean showcase this perfectly and truly reveal just how inflexible emo rap is for creativity. The only way that emo rap can grow is if the space becomes more accepting of experimentation and doesn't expect an artist to completely adhere to its conventions. I'm excited to see where the genre could go if we were able to get to this point, but we aren't quite here yet. And I suppose that's okay, because emo rap is still in its infancy. But if we don't start to take these things into account right now and begin pondering them, how can we expect to secure a bright future for the genre? I find it intriguing that someone like Kid Cudi, the founder of the genre, is able to say, screw expectations, and is able to push his sound in wild new directions on his collaborative album, Kids See Ghosts, but his followers can't seem to do the same. As of right now, things could go either way, and I truly hope that future artists are willing to play with their sound in an attempt at preserving the life of this genre as well as growing as an artist. But right now, that is impossible to tell. Emo rap may be the start of a new revolution or just something that we look back on in 10 years and say, wow, different times. Similar to how we view scene culture of the late 2000s. We don't know. And that's what I love so much about life, art, and music. You just never know.